How many times have you introduced yourself by your job? I'm a lawyer, I'm a designer, I'm a teacher. But what happens when you lose your job? Who are you then? Let's begin with a question that most people never dare ask themselves. It's a question that lurks quietly in the background, nestled deep within the unconscious mind, often ignored or suppressed because it's too uncomfortable. What if everything you do every single day, your routine, your job, your every little action, makes no sense? I'm not talking about some abstract philosophical question about the meaning of life or about grand cosmic purposes. I mean something far more tangible, something that impacts you every morning when you open your eyes. When was the last time you really questioned why you get up? Why you feel so compelled to drag yourself out of bed, tired, unmotivated, like some obedient machine on autopilot? Think about it. Is your life as you know it truly yours, or is it an existence shaped by the expectations and demands of others? Have you ever felt that the world you live in doesn't quite fit with who you are, like an old pair of shoes that pinch at the seams? That vague discomfort, that faint, ever-present hum in the background that you can never quite escape. It's like you're on a treadmill, moving fast, but not really getting anywhere. That discomfort you feel, what if it's not a product of stress or nervous tension, but a signal, a cry from your essence, trying to scream out to you? What if that voice, that nagging sense that something's wrong, is trying to tell you something you've ignored your whole life? What if it's trying to tell you that you've been living in a world that doesn't truly belong to you? Since childhood, society has told you that you must study, work, and become someone. But they never asked you what kind of someone you wanted to be. You were taught that success means producing, achieving, and meeting the expectations set by others. From the moment you entered school, your life became a race toward achievement, toward becoming useful, toward securing your place in a society that defines your worth by what you can deliver. But was that really your choice? Think about it. What if that very construct, the idea that life is only valuable when it serves a purpose, when it is productive, is an artificial illusion? What if the entire framework of work, success, and efficiency that we're sold is nothing more than a carefully crafted lie? What if the path you've been walking your whole life wasn't even your own? You see, they've sold you the idea that work equals fulfillment, that purpose is found in productivity. But now, here you are, exhausted, empty, a small part of your soul crumpled up inside you like a neglected letter. You're going through the motions, day in and day out, and all the while that quiet discomfort gnaws at you, whispering that something is wrong, but you don't know what it is. And worse still, the moment you dare to stop, even for a second, you're punished. You're made to feel as if your worth diminishes the instant you aren't contributing, creating, producing. Do you feel it, that pressure, that unspoken rule that says, if you're not busy, you're worthless. If you're not advancing, you're stagnating. If you're not creating, you're wasting time. But who decided that? Who decided that rest equals laziness, that self-reflection equals immaturity, that slowing down is somehow synonymous with falling behind? Have you ever stopped to wonder where these rules came from? Who set them? And why does everyone accept them without question? There's a crack in the system, a fissure where something real begins to seep through. There's a suspicion buried deep within all of us, a whisper that never fully dies, despite the years of conditioning. Maybe human beings weren't meant to work like this. What if the endless machine of productivity, the ever-demanding push for efficiency, the constant need to achieve, isn't natural at all? What if these expectations are not simply part of life, but a carefully crafted illusion, one that keeps you from ever questioning it? Have you ever felt, in the depths of your heart, that you're running away from yourself while you comply with the life you've been told to live? That each productive day you push through is also a betrayal of a part of you that longs for something freer, wilder, something less tethered to expectation? Have you ever wondered why, despite all the achievements you accumulate, the pursuit of pleasure, joy, and art always seems to land at the bottom of the list? As if you can only indulge in those things after you've checked off every other task, after you've earned the right to rest. But what happens when that list never ends? What happens when the promise of a future where you'll finally enjoy yourself keeps getting pushed just a little bit farther away? When will that moment ever come, when you're finally allowed to stop and breathe? Look around. Everyone's busy. Everyone's running, hurrying to the next thing, always pushing forward. But none of them knows where they're actually going. The modern world doesn't teach you how to live, it teaches you how to produce. It teaches you that you are valuable only when you're working. And it does this so well that the very idea of free time feels like a threat, like a moment of vulnerability. Think about it. When was the last time you allowed yourself to just be, to sit still, to watch the world, to experience life without the pressure to do something with it? Do you know why that feels so uncomfortable? Because society has won. It has programmed you to reject your own nature, to fear silence, to fear stillness. You've been taught to feel guilty for taking time to simply exist, for doing nothing. That's where the real manipulation lies. The system doesn't need chains or whips to control you. It only needs one simple thing: guilt. Guilt that makes you feel unworthy of rest. Guilt that makes you avoid silence at all costs, as if being still were a crime. They've convinced you that if you're not constantly producing, you have no value. But it doesn't stop there. It goes deeper. It creeps into how you see yourself. How many times have you introduced yourself by your job? I'm a lawyer. I'm a designer. I'm a teacher. But what happens when you lose your job? Who are you then? That's the problem. Your value, your identity, your worth has been tied to what you do, not who you are. You've become a rented identity, a person defined solely by your productivity, by your utility to others. And when you stop being useful, when you're no longer producing, you disappear. It's like you were never really there in the first place. And you know what's even more devastating? The same logic infects your relationships. How often do you maintain friendships or connections based on what someone can do for you? How often do you view others as nothing more than resources, contacts, networks, people to help you advance? Your relationships become transactions, not human connections. And when the transaction no longer benefits you, it's over. But there is hope, and it lies in one simple, radical act: to stop measuring your life in terms of productivity, to stop defining yourself by what you do, to stop buying into the lie that your worth depends on your usefulness. It begins with small steps. Start by doing something just because it feels good, with no purpose or end goal. Listen to music without multitasking. Take a walk and don't check your phone. Allow yourself to waste time. Do nothing without feeling guilty. Because in that moment of uselessness, of purposelessness, you will begin to experience something different. You'll reconnect with a part of yourself that hasn't been controlled, shaped, or molded by anyone else. That raw, untamed part of you that has been buried under tasks and expectations, that part which resists the productivity cult and craves real, unfiltered experiences. And here's the thing, that part of you is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just locked away, shoved to the margins of your life, hidden behind deadlines and expectations. But it's still alive, and it's waiting to be set free. You feel it in those fleeting moments of anxiety, in that quiet sadness that you can't explain, in that sense of being alive, but not fully alive. That's your true self, fighting to break through. But here's the kicker. The moment you stop obeying, the moment you begin to live on your own terms, you'll be met with resistance. You'll feel the weight of the world pushing against you, trying to pull you back into line. The system doesn't want you to think for yourself. It wants you to conform. But if you have the courage to push back, to make a life for yourself that's free from the constant pressure to produce, you will begin to experience something profound: true freedom. True freedom isn't about escaping work entirely. It's about reclaiming your humanity. It's about learning to live not just for what you can do, but for who you are. The choice is yours. To keep living a life that isn't yours, or to begin thinking for yourself, to step out of the shadows of societal expectations, and to live a life that is truly yours. So, I'll leave you with this question. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue to live a life shaped by other people's definitions of success, or will you begin to reclaim your own? Because most people will never ask these questions, but you have the power to do so. Thank you for listening, and don't forget subscribing.